Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Can you believe how great these drums sound?
I mean, I would put them on pretty much any record I've ever tracked on and give them the gold stamp and walk away going, I'm good, call it what you will.
I'm kind of speechless.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless.
We were going for something different with this kit. I mean, we had always tried to have a throwback to the old classics and you know, the vintage drum making thing, which is so popular, but we wanted to have that DW modern technology, all the toys, bells and whistles, and I think this kind of merged both of our sound we hear in our head from the old school with the technology of the new school, but we made it something that was also beautiful to look at.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's really crazy to actually get these drums under microphones.
Yeah.
Having this guy smack them and, you know, go through some really nice equipment. But I'm telling you, from conversations about bearing edges.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you can just.
Yeah, we can go down the rabbit hole with that one.
And we did.
Yeah, we did for a long time.
It's absolutely incredible to get this kit here in the studio, here at Native South Studios, if I hadn't said that 3 times already. We'd just like you to know where we are. And the fact that this kit actually has been made. I mean, this was like a labor of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, you know, guys, the old drums that maybe they sound incredible, but maybe they don't stay in tune, or they're not completely round, or whatever. You know, they're old. I mean, this kit in 40 or 50 years or 60 years probably is going to need a tune-up too. So just
me too.
Yeah, same. And to be fair, but I think we both kind of talked about Drum Workshop, the company DW.
Yeah.
Those guys, if you boil it down, are just a boutique drum company.
Yeah.
Do you want that old Slingerland thing? Do you want the Ludwig thing? Or we have loyalties and we prefer our preferences and all that. But we like the Gretsch stuff and the Ludwig stuff. Of
course.
But guess what? So does DW. So much so that they said, hey, let's tweak some of these designs that we like, and let's see if we can maybe, dare we say, improve, but, you know, modern manufacturing.
Tip the hat to that.
It's actually, it's what you see happening with even other equipment, compressors and EQs, and it's basically just saying, you know, hey, we love that so much, they don't really make those anymore, or it's hard to find. So why don't we put our sort of ace way of doing things over that and
make it functional?
How about this kit?
There is no one kit does it all,
right?
But I wanted something that would do almost everything I would ever track, you know, a song, whatever sessions I'm in. It had to encompass a lot, but I always wanted that sound that was from that, you know, Radio King day or whatever. It's just like, that's what I heard.
Fat.
On most of the stuff I'd track on.
Punchy.
Not overly resonant.
Yep. Short, kind of a short sustain.
Yeah. Good low end.
Yeah, all the stuff we've talked about.
But tunable. Something that can go up or down, not just one thing and go, you know?
Head choices can...
Infinite.
Yeah, you could go with a twin ply coated head, you know, classic.
Yeah.
That's going to be a thing. But these drums have the DNA of that old school, fat, chunky, everything you just said, that classic sound. Frankly, a lot of the session guys in the studio, for you that don't know this, I love talking about this because, man, when I was a kid back in North Carolina, if I had gotten to see my hero, Jeff Porcaro, talk with a buddy about the fact that he actually played Gretsch drums in the studio, and no offense to, he was a Pearl guy, but in the studio, it's more about what the producer needs or the record calls for, and maybe or maybe not the manufacturer that you're sort of forward-facing to, sort of everybody, you know, they knew him as a Pearl guy, and it's not a slight against Pearl or DW or Yamaha or whatever,
of course,
but it's sort of, as a session guy, it's a bit different in the sense that you just have to be open to what works.
Correct.
And so it's not about not being loyal. Let's say you have an endorsement deal with a company. Yeah. It's an understood thing, I believe, in this business that we're in, not only touring guys.
Yeah.
The studio thing is a different animal.
Well, you know how they say like success leaves clues, right? In the studio, you kind of see the same thing over and over again in different ways, but there's this constant, oh, this works, this doesn't.
Unruly
there are
beast.
things you see on hit records that are continuously throughout studio sessions. That I mean, like there's a particular sound, there's something that you're
Black
looking
Beauty.
for, get to the point, you know. It's
would you
not
say?
overly resonant, it's not overly choked. There's a certain tonality that you want.
Yeah.
And we're talking like top 40 contemporary music,
Right.
typically, you know. And
Yeah.
by seeing all these different,
Commercial
you know, drums, I was fortunate when I first moved to LA to work for actually the Drum Doctors. And I got to be in the studio all the time, setting up for some of the biggest names in the world. And I just saw some continuity between kits, how they were tuned, how they were set up, what producers were looking for.
Yeah.
And I just took all the pieces together and went, there's a constant, there's like a through line. So with the kit that I manufactured with DW, which I'm actually a DW endorser, and I love these drums, and I've been playing them forever, and I will play them in the grave. But I wanted to create that sound, get to all the meat and potatoes of what I wanted, and be able to have all the functionality of what DW is known for, and their hardware and their technology, but that sound, that, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's that continuous thing you see in the studio that you want, and to shave off all the things you don't want. And voila. That's what it is.
I mean, would you say they nailed it? Like,
spot on.
I mean, that kit is everything you just mentioned. Like the through line, you know, and I'll mention names because I think it's good to understand. You have to understand that, and this is not a history channel about 1940s radio kings. There's plenty of people, there are plenty of people. That's not so much sort of the spirit of this. This is like a hangout with a buddy and talking about a kit. Way more casual. So if you want to dive deeper into like, you know, the history of all this, but we're just simply saying that there's a through line in the studio, you know, like Gretsch, the name keeps coming up, Gretsch and Ludwig and Slingerland and Rogers, and you know, it's something that really there's a boy. I just opened a can of worms. You see, this is what these. This is just a big fat can of worms. You know, I'm like, oh boy. Then there's the psychology of the studio where producers just want to see a session drummer, a musician, you know, a guitar player, bass player, drummer, whatever. It makes them feel comfortable when they see their musicians walk in with something that they identify and they know. They have confidence that, oh, they have a Les Paul, they have a Telly, they have a whatever. So when it's a, you know, a P bass, whatever, the Marshall drums, it's the same way. Oh, do you have a Black Beauty? Whether the Black Beauty is the right snare drum at that particular time, in some ways is irrelevant because of the can of worms I just opened. There's a psychology of, it's a combination of the Black Beauty is an incredible drum. Are there other incredible drums? DW makes, Yamaha, we've got examples.
Is Ferrari better than Lamborghini? Is it better than your Mustang?
You see,
you know,
you see?
70, whatever, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
they're great, they're different. But they're all great.
But we're not so much arguing a better than, worse than kind of a thing. It's really, there's an expectation.
A consistency.
A consistency. We know that there've been decades of trust and sort of that sound. It's almost like the DNA that people expect there to be. So the fact that this drum kit is sitting here, brand new, made,
and it was imagined
like 30 minutes from here.
But it was imagined by what we know from old drum making. You're never going to really go to a store and be able to just find one of these. And play around with it, and then let alone tune it and put different heads and all the rigmarole. But based on what made sense and what the old vintage drum making was, I knew they had to be right, almost perfect there. And I just kind of took a big hope and a prayer, and we had them built, and you know, everything I thought that they would be. And John actually came with me to DW to pick them up. And I'm like shaking. I'm like, I hope this is everything I think. I mean, I had even the edges were a little bit rounded over more.
Yeah.
You know,
bit of
the
a
vintage
tweak.
butter edge, but I had a little bit more of a rounded edge put on the toms.
Because
the contemporary
classics,
yeah.
they already have a fairly rounded over edge,
Correct.
but you wanted to take that just a step further. So you were there.
I wanted a little bit more contact with the shell and the head. I didn't want a very long note that was drowned out. I wanted to get to the point.
Yeah.
And I mean, DW will do whatever you want.
So it's a custom drum company.
I thought I was going to drive my rep crazy, and he already knows I've changed my mind 100 times. He's like, cool. Every email was just cool, cool, cool. Every conversation was like, okay, we'll go back. Cool, cool, cool. And it was like, really? All right, great. Anyway, the point is when they were unboxed and we started smacking them here at Native South, it was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I heard in my head and I wanted. It's a brand new drum, never seen the light of day.
Yeah.
And it's all these things that I've seen
the
in
DNA of
on
it,
the most commercial music you'd be tracking on. And it's like, that's it. And I can do more with it.
Tune them up.
But I can do that thing and I can yoke them up and do the jazz thing if I want, or I can plop them down and have the fat, ploppy, no-tone thing and everything in between. And that was it for me. It was like, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I would show up any day with this kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Gull wing spurs.
T-rods.
Yeah, the T-rods.
8-lug kick drum. I drove my rep crazy with the 14 by 22, 16 by 22, 14. Yep. I went with the 16 by 22 because I just wanted to have a little bit more versatility in what I could do.
Yeah.
You know, but I just wanted a kit that was going to be easy to just go to the one thing and know like I could show up and use that kit on a session, pick whatever snare I want. Because that's just like, we're not even gonna go into that.
Yeah,
that's just forget it.
That's another
forget the whole snare thing.
That's a different video.
But you know, kick and toms, what I wanted.
Yeah.
They nailed it. And and the edges are just a little fatter than normal, and there you go. That's the kit.
So we says to ourselves,
yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to bring the kit here to the studio,
throw them on some real mics,
put some mics,
like the actual mics you would see,
like
in studios again, through line.
Yep, absolutely, just classic stuff. No trickery. Let's just get some levels. You know, get Mika to come out here and like just pop them, smack them, and man, I got to tell you, they just naturally in their raw state, not getting too precious with too much, you know, technique.
Not too precious is a big deal.
Not too precious.
Correct.
And we're both just like, oh my gosh, imagine if we spent some more time. Like, guys, you have to understand, these are still the factory coated 2-ply heads on the top. What's on the bottom?
It's a single ambassador with the DW, like the crimp locked heads, which is instead of the glue and the rim, it's pretty much the same thing to me.
Yeah.
But factory coated emperors made in the USA.
Yeah.
And clear ambassadors in the bottom.
Right. And that's factory heads. And you guys know when you get a kit. What's
the first thing that comes off?
You just yank them. But I don't even know what's going to come next. If there's some particular head you want to go with or whatever.
I couldn't even. I mean, again, if we went with clear amps, if we went with pinstripes, I mean, it can go on and on. I know whatever I put on that kit, it's going to sound great.
I mean, that's kind of the punchline. I'm absolutely impressed. Like, and in fact, when they came out of the box the first time from DW, like pulled them in here,
and I was shaking, going, "Oh,
dude,
I hope I did the right thing."
Because you guys, you had
die-cast hoops.
Yeah, die-cast hoops. Oh boy, another wrench in the spokes. But look. I mean, this whole design is even a tweaked design from a kit that's really, you can't even hear what it is. So the fact that it showed up and got it pulled out of the box and tapped it with a stick, and we both just looked at each other like, there's that sound.
It was instant.
Instantly.
It was that sound
I was like,
that we had talked about in our head.
I couldn't believe it.
That we were trying to do in the modern hot rod and then made it look classy. And I mean, you'd go on a date with that kit right there.
Beautiful.
You put your tux on and you're going to a fine ball.
Yeah, and it's in the right color too. It's this classic black. It just goes with everything.
Yep.
Well, I know we're just gushing over a contemporary classic model drum workshop.
You got to get used to saying that, contemporary classic, because
classic,
it's like you don't always hear contemporary classics.
Yeah,
it's still relatively new in the DW world.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah.
But it's you know, it's an incredible sounding kit. I think it's gush worthy, I guess. You know, kind of geeking out about how good it
and
sounds.
all the specs obviously are online. You've seen videos. They'll tell you the 7-ply shells and the reinforcement rings and the 30-second cuts and
mahogany. There's some mahogany in there.
and it's poplar core and then the inner outer mahogany. You can watch videos to the nth degree. There is that. DW has it all listed on there, but the only difference I did was I made the edges a little bit rounder.
Okay, edges rounder, and then little tweaks like the gull wing spurs.
Gull wing spurs, which I had to go to the factory and install because with an 8-lug kick drum, which already makes it how you set the gull wing spurs so that they don't stand pointed up like this and look dorky or like they're flying away. So we had to have that in person, kind of set it up, and that was cool. I got to do that, and that was, hey, I got exactly what I was looking for in my head.
Yeah, it's an incredible design, build, and sound, and I'm just impressed as heck. I mean, guys, when you hear these drums, I think you're going to be pretty impressed. You might even say, well, that's not my thing, that's not my sound, but it's not going to be because they don't sound fat, tight, punchy, rich, full. You could easily say, well, there's that sound. I know that sound. Maybe that's not your cup of tea. That's okay. So you'll just have to pardon the enthusiasm. I mean, I'm still just kind of bouncing off the walls.
Man, we're just two kids in a candy store.
Two kids in a candy store.
Two professionals, but two kids in a candy store, man. This is what it is.
Bringing it to you. I mean, I told you, if you just hang tight for a bit, we're going to start having more things like this where we're going to have just buddies talking, and I'm sure you're going to see more of Mika, of course, because it's just...
If you want to.
And comment, actually. You know, some things you liked, some things you didn't, what you'd like to see. I mean, be kind, but...
Or
don't, you know, I mean, you know, whatever...
It's YouTube.
Whatever you want. So I'm letting you know that there's going to be more like this on the way, and make sure to comment and let us know what you're thinking, and maybe something that you'd like to see, something else, something more specific. You know, I'd love to see Mika play X, Y, and Z, or Jonathan, play this. Maybe you play. Maybe we set the kit up differently. I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we take this kit and we take two drummers that play differently, some in the same, and what this kit could sound like with two players playing the kit, set up the way, tuned the way, different heads. That might be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. We
live in Drummer's Paradise in this little neighborhood of Westlake Village.
Yeah.
So
1-800.
Who's my icon?
Who's my icon?
Oh, he's down the street. Hey.
Right. So, like I've mentioned several times, this whole area is just absolutely...
It's oversaturated.
It's oversaturated with people that you're going to enjoy getting to do this with, and I'm so happy to have you here, Mika. I'm so glad you...
Dude, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
World-class studio. I mean, what can I ask for?
We're gonna.
I can cast a fishing pole to my house from here, which is great.
Isn't
So
that crazy?
and one of my best buds. So I mean, come on.
It's like 5 minutes away. This guy. It's like, hey, you want to come by? Sure. Why don't you play it? No, I want you to play it.
No big deal.
You know, it's awesome. So okay, so this is it, guys. Let us know if you're digging it, and definitely go follow Mika Fineo. Can you give them like your information, like where to go, what to see?
If you could spell my name by saying Mika Fineo, God bless you. At Mika, M-I-K-A, Fineo, F-I-N-E-O. That's my socials. You'll find everything on there. That's where I'm hanging out most of the time. People still do websites? Musicians
it seems
still.
like Instagram.
I had a website. It was pretty
cool.
cool. It had all my look what I can do. But I don't know if it's still there. But at Mika Fineo, hit me up anytime. Send me DMs, whatever you want to do. Send funny pictures or don't. Make me laugh.
Ooh. And on that note, so definitely check out Mika, and I'm sure you're going to love some of the things you find out about him. He's just a monster of a player and a great
Thanks,
guy.
man.
Yeah, and a cool dude. So, all right, we'll be back for more here soon.
Goodbye.